What's up, guys? It's your girl D from the Voices Gathering Live podcast show. Thank you so much. I apologize for any interruptions that we were having before, but we're here. We're here. Thank you. Same time, same diamond channel. Okay? All right. Before we even engage in today's conversation, I am going to just get some house rules out of the way. We have to do that all the time because I am trying to grow this platform. And I grow it by making sure you guys understand how the platform works. First and foremost, if you are visiting this channel and you are not subscribed to the channel, I encourage you to do something really quickly. Go to the channel, click the subscribe button, and then also let's make sure that this is up for you guys. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel by clicking the subscribe button and the notification bell. Make sure you click all notification, right? So that when we go live, when we are uploading the show, you will have all the content that you need to know right at hand, because that bell is going to say ding, Voices Gathering Live podcast is live. And that way you can tune into the conversation. So please do me a favor. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel. It is important to the algorithm. Also, I would love if you guys will always remember, give the show a thumbs up. That is important. If you give it a thumbs up, even a thumbs down, I respect that. Because if you liking or disliking and then posting a comment with your like up or down, I know what it is that you either didn't understand, I didn't explain completely and fully, and therefore I need to come back to the table and make sure I sharpen those areas. I have no problem doing that because that's what I do. That's what I do. To make sure I'm giving good content and making sure that you are in tune about what we're talking about, right? Also, you should know that we are on all of these platforms. We are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, right? Under the same name, Voices Gathering Live podcast show. So all you got to do is type in Voices Gathering and you're going to see me. You'll see my picture right there letting you know you're in the right place. All right? Subscribe, follow, retweet. Just get involved. See, when you do all those things, the algorithm falls in love with that. And the algorithm tells YouTube, hey, this channel is really gaining the attention of the audience and they're supporting her. So I look on the back end, see who's supporting me, and then we're doing a good job. So please, by all means, make sure you follow me on these platforms here. We like to keep a Q&A conversation going. So I'm asking questions. Drop your questions in the comment. Let's share some answers and then have an intellectual, full-hearted conversation, right? This show is not going to do things just to get clickbait. We're not doing that. We're going to be talking about some real heavy topics, some fun things, relationships, addiction, mental health, raising children, abortion, the NRA, and so much more. That's just what we do, because that's why it's called Voices Gathering Live. So with that being said, we are always going to make sure we're keeping it real talk, nothing else but real talk in the building. When we have real talk, we are doing our job. I'm not here to waste your time. I'm here to learn from you and hopefully, share something with you. So I want to get that out of the way. House rules are out of the way, right? It's totally out the way. So let's just slow it down and have a conversation. Let's just have a conversation. That's what I want. I want to have a conversation with you because having a conversation with you allows me to get to know and have a view of what you are thinking and how you see things as it relates to today's topic and any topic that we're bringing. That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about that. The things that we're talking about, what is your views on it? Where do you stand? How are you against or for the situation that we're talking about? I think it's important to know that because I think too often we pass judgment on people thinking that, oh, you absolutely don't get it. You don't understand. Before we ask, are you involved in the conversation? And if you are, what are your views? And lately, since we returned back from the semester of school, we've been having a lot of heavy conversations because what? A lot of heavy things have been happening right in our backyard, i.e. in our communities, our country. A lot is going on, and somehow we are involved directly or indirectly, and we need to talk about that. Why is that the case? So let's talk about it. Let's talk about how it is that we are involved and what seems to be the problem. We can't turn a blind eye to what we hear in social media, on the news. We read in newspapers. It's every place, every place, every place. And that is the mass shootings that's been happening back to back. Before I get into the Texas shooting, we just talked last week about the Buffalo shooting. I want to talk to you about something that I'm a little confused about, and I'm going to be very transparent. I try to do my best to be transparent. I think that's the best place to start, is be honest and authentic. I would not say I understood what the NRA stood for. Right? I didn't know. I didn't look into it. I wasn't curious about it, even though there was mass shootings happening every few years or so. There was these shootings happening, and I didn't know what the NRA. Actually, I never heard of the NRA. I never heard of it, and that's crazy. How is it that you never heard of the NRA when we impacted by people making these kind of decisions? I am curious. I wonder, first and foremost, have you guys ever heard about it? Because I know I have not heard about it. The NRA, the National Rifle Association. Interesting, right? The National Association just had this past weekend had their convention. And it's sad to say that they had their convention on the heels of the Texas shooting that killed 21 people, 19 children and 2 adults. Children. And the NRA thought it was still in their best interest to steam forward ahead. So I like to be accurate about what I'm talking about. So let me just share a little bit of information with you, because I do not know if you know what the NRA really is about, right? So let's first hear what their statement was. So despite the Texas shooting, they felt that they needed to move forward. So this is what they said. Our deepest sympathies are with the families and victims involved in the horrific evil crime. On behalf of our members, we salute the courage of the school officials, first responders, and others who offered their support and services. Although an investigation is underway and the facts are still emerging, the NRA recognized this was an act of a lone, deranged criminal. As we gathered in Houston, that's where they gathered. This is where the NRA took place. Texas, and they had it in Houston. Interesting, right? Okay. They will reflect on those events, pray for the victim, recognize the psychotic members, and pledge to redouble their commitment to making schools secure. That is what they were standing by, those who are trying to do their best to have an understanding to why this crime happened, what was the mindset of the person who committed the crime, and that they are praying for the victims and first responders who showed up in support of those individuals. Okay. But yet we're still going to have our convention and still marketing guns, rifles, and all kind of equipment. A little bit more information. The 2022 annual meeting exhibits will take place, which it did take place in Houston, Texas. The exhibit hall will be open for 3 days, 3 whole days, where people will be able to go there and look at all kind of guns and rifles and equipment to wear as protection, i.e. the children who were in school, went to school for an education and didn't have protection from a person who had access to a gun and was able to walk into a school and barricade himself while wearing a live video streaming camera and record him committing a mass murder. of innocent children who were going to school to get an education so that they could contribute to this place called our space, the planet, the world, their communities, and so forth and so on. They lose that opportunity. It will also, the NRA stated that they will also showcase over 14 acres of the latest guns and gears from most popular companies, in industries. For entertainment to the special events, it's all happening in Houston over the Memorial Day weekend, which it did. Make plans now to join fellow Second Amendment patriots. I like how they stuck that in there. For the freedom-filled weekend. For the entire family, we celebrate freedom, firearms, and the Second Amendment. So the Second Amendment, I guess, to bear arms, right? Yeah. But where is the amendment? And you can drop it in the comment where I have the right to send my child to school and not worry about my child not making it back home. I have the right to walk in my community to a grocery store. I have the right to go to a church and fellowship with other believers and not be worried about someone who has access to a gun. And they walk into a space that's supposed to be free will to go shopping, free will to go practice your faith and religion, free will to send your children to school or go to school and get an education. I should have that right to go there and actually show up without the fear of being murdered by someone who had access to a gun. Now listen, be very clear. I am not a person who has ever shot a gun. I'm not into guns like that. I have friends of mine who said, listen, you should go to a shooting range. And I believe I'm supposed to be going actually for my birthday coming up. And I'm not really interested. It's not something I'm paying for to do. I don't really care. I honestly don't care to put a firearm in my hand and fire a gun. Nothing really floats my boat about saying I held a gun and I shot at a paper and was able to hit a target. I'm not excited about that. I'm just not excited about it. So the truth be told is if I do, I'm not excited about it. And if I don't, I'm not going to lose any sleep about it. I don't care. I don't understand this amendment to bear arms and bear arms with firearms that should be in the place of a war. The people who committed these last shootings in Buffalo and Texas, they were armed with weapons that should be in battle. They were armed with weapons that would be able to take out people in a short period of time, have very great number of casualties. How is it that people who don't have good education, who mental health is totally out of sync, have access to get guns like that? And the country we live in says that you have a right because it's the amendment, the Second Amendment, that you have the right to bear arms. I don't understand it. And I need someone who is knowledge in that, not to judge we don't understand it. I don't understand it. But be willing to come on this platform with me and help me understand. Click the subscribe button, drop a comment and tell me why is it that you believe that those people who have access to guns and believe that they have the right to the Second Amendment to bear arms, that they, with poor mental health, should have the right to have a firearm. Because I don't get it. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense for me. It doesn't make any sense that someone can just grab a gun and just shoot because they are sick mentally. They are hating on people. They're racist in another space. It just doesn't make sense. And you would think, just let's sidebar, you would think that the NRA would have enough respect for the victims, their family, their community, even if you're still going to have this convention, that you will put this convention off. And I understand that they put the convention off in 2020 and 2021, and that was related to the pandemic. But I guess the lives of 19 children and 2 adults, or the lives of the Buffalo victims, was not enough for the convention to say, yes, we have a right to bear arms, but we also want to be respectful of those who lost their lives to people bearing arms. We are, as a country, very selfish and very greedy. The convention took place not so much because of the amendment to bear arms, because it's greedy for money. This is all about money, the dollar. I.e., I read just to you just now, a couple minutes ago, about how big major companies were there to sell their product being firearms, so that they are going to say, you know what, we don't want to lose out on our profit. No way. We want to actually continue to go on with this because we need to make our money. That's what it's all about. It has nothing to do with anything else. Nothing else at all. Nothing. It has solely to do with the individuals thinking that this was the right thing to do. And the right thing to do was to actually say, you know what, listen, we are going to go ahead and go on with the convention and sell our products, and you guys can feel like you're still standing on your amendment. Like you're not being judged because you decided to go to a convention after children were murdered and slaughtered, and still buy weapons. And you're buying weapons and having children in your home that I'm sure many of these households have never had an evaluation done to see if everybody in the household is sound, mentally stable, don't have any suicidal or homicidal ideations. But we're still going to say, come on in. Just show us your ID. Let us do a background check to see if you wasn't arrested recently. And then, yep, you can buy a gun. I need someone to help me understand so that can make sense to me, because it truly does not make sense. None at all. I don't get it. And I need someone to help me get it. So if you know someone who stands on the amendment to bear arms, believe in the NRA, and maybe even went to the convention, if you want to come onto this platform and have a conversation with me, I would truly appreciate it. Because many people like myself don't understand, how could this still happen? And why is it necessary to bear the kind of arms that are firearms that are sold at the convention that happened over this past weekend? It doesn't make sense. And while we're talking about that, I kind of want to talk about something else, right? So here's the thing. While I was studying, doing a little research, watching all the media, I learned that the Canada Prime Minister decided that he was going to take a stance, and he was going to change things as it relates to being able to gain access to firearms, right? And I don't know if you read it, but I want us to talk about it. I want us to talk about it and see if you agree that this was the right thing to do. Because I believe it actually is the right thing to do. So, let's look at this. I want to look at this for a second. All right, so I don't know if you heard or read or seen, but Toronto, Canada, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, the governor, introduced in legislation on Monday, yesterday, that he would be putting a freeze on the importing and buying of and selling of handguns. He says, we are capping the number of handguns in this country. The regulations to halt the growth of personal-owned handguns is expected to enhance this fall. First and foremost, I salute him, because this is what the U.S. needs to do. We need to take the same position, in my opinion. We need to take the same position and halt the buying of firearms in this country. Because as we can see over the past week, people getting access to guns are too quick. You can get access to guns like I can get access to buying milk at the grocery store. I truly believe that these people who are selling these guns aren't even doing a thorough background check on these individuals. If you can show proper ID and fill out a form, you are that much closer to getting your hands on an assault rifle. Magazines that hold over a number of bullets. Why would you need that living in Houston or living in Buffalo? Why would someone need that? It just doesn't make sense. He further stated it will be illegal to buy, sell, transfer, or import handguns anywhere in Canada. Families of the shooting victims joined him at the press conference where he made this announcement. I know they are elated to know that they're trying to put in place laws that will prohibit the buying of guns, especially guns that are just no need for. Because there's no need for an assault rifle. None. Not someone living in the community. Unless you're going over someplace and fighting a war so that we can have our freedom in this country. Forget the Second Amendment. Our freedom in this country. Why should you be able to have access to that? And I mean that you shouldn't have to go through one mental health evaluation to get your hands on the gun. I think you need to go through at least a couple of levels of evaluations to determine if you are in sound mind to be able to bear arm, right, and carry a gun. And that gun does not need to be a rifle, an assault weapon. I'm talking about a handgun. Trudy also has long plans to enact tougher gun laws, but to introduce new measures to come into place so that they can prohibit, again, these mass casualties. He also is arguing that those who will be able to get handguns, for whatever reason, that you will not be able to get magazines, gun clips that carry more than 5 to 10 bullets in it. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he stated that it should not be able to have no more than 5 bullets in it. Yes, 5 bullets. Now that's someone taking a stance. The precedents that we have had here in the States, I don't know all their stance on gun laws. I know that they talk a good game, but I don't see anyone doing anything about to stop this. Change the law. Change the law. I don't know what the ratio is either about what's the ratio of those who are for gun laws and those who are not for the law. Meaning they just do not want people to have access to guns just like that. We have, it's still in line. We have people, including law enforcement, individuals carrying weapons and killing people senseless. I think anyone, including police officers, should periodically be required, mandated, to undergo a mental health evaluation to determine if you are in a sound mind and should be able to carry any kind of weapon, even on your job. It should not be accessible, or, for lack of better words, because you passed an employment background check, that you should not continue to have your mental health evaluated to determine if you are in a sound space to carry a gun. I don't want to worry about my loved ones, my neighbors, going someplace, minding their business, and because someone was not in a good space, felt that it was okay to just pull out a gun and just take their lives for no reason at all. It doesn't make sense. And I think that we need to follow this Prime Minister in Canada and do something different, because what we are doing isn't working. And we need to change what we're doing. Okay. I wanted to spend a little time talking about the individual who committed the the killing in Texas, but I'm not going to do that. I actually have a picture of him that I was going to show. I'm not going to do that. You can look on the internet and search his picture. What I am going to do is I want to focus that time on remembering the victims of the shooting, these precious faces right here. I think it would be better suited to just pay respect to these victims, not give his even though I'm talking about it, I'm drawing attention to him, right? But I'm drawing attention to him for the right reason. I'm drawing attention to him because he was a sick individual who shot his grandmother, left there, got into a car accident on his way to the school, went into the school where the doors were unlocked, and went into a classroom where these babies were and took their life. And I don't want to focus so much on him. He was just someone very sick. So let's just take a minute, as we did last week, which I don't like that we need to do this. Let's take a minute and let's just take a moment of silence and remember these beautiful people who lost their lives. Couple seconds, guys, just a couple of seconds. So thank you for joining me in a moment of silence just to remember them, right? I think we often are too fast to just want to ignore or put it behind us and move on. But I think if we take a little time to reflect on the impact of what's been happening, then we can actually probably put our best intentions forward and do something different, because this just doesn't make any sense. And we need people to help us make it make sense, right? We need to do that. So let's not forget those individuals. Let's not forget their community, their family. Let's not forget. Let's always remember that as long as we continue to allow people to have access to guns when they don't need them, we put ourselves and others at risk of being victims of mass shootings when we could have prevented. And we can just, again, follow Canada's position and make it illegal for people to get their hands on guns, sell them, transport them for any reasons. And I think the punishment needs to be enormous, very close to capital murder. Because if, like the persons who committed these last two shootings, was able to get their hands on guns and they committed mass murders, then I think that anyone in possession of these kind of firearms should also be charged the same. Yep, we can do something different if we want to. I think we don't want to do something different, therefore we don't do anything different. And then we make excuses that it's our right. We should have the right. It's my right to do what I want to do. So which direction are you going in? Are you going to go for the wrong direction? Or are you going to go for the right direction? And I don't want you to rationalize it because it's your right to bear arms. I want you to make it more personal. Is it your right to make sure that people are safe in your community? Is it your right that your children go to school with other children and they are safe when they're going there for an education? Is that your right, or is it more your right to bear arms and get a gun? Because I know it's my right and my responsibility to make sure that I do my best to make sure that the children who go to school are safe. And that's why we're talking about today's topic, because I want to ring the alarm and say that, you know what, we need to do something different. We can't keep making excuses because we can, right? So in this part, I want to know from you guys, what are some of your questions? What are some of the answers you may have already that I've asked? Drop them in the comment section here. And if you're not here live on the show, then I'm going to ask that you also post them at the end of the show under the comments, because I go back and I read those feedback. I try to answer questions, or I bring them to the show so that we can get someone to come on here and answer them for us, right? So that's what the Q&A is about. Don't forget to use that. I think it would be a good idea that you do. We can't go wrong with that. All right, guys, listen. I want to talk about something, changing this whole topic about the NRA convention that just happened over the weekend. Also changing the conversation from a very, very heavy topic to changing something that's still even heavy but and crazy altogether. And I want to talk about this man right here, Kevin Spacey. Can you believe it? And what are your thoughts about this? So I want to talk about Kevin Spacey because, again, right or wrong, where do you stand? So we all know, and if you have not heard, Kevin Spacey has been charged in Britain. So I just want to bring up a little bit. It says Kevin Spacey to voluntarily travel to Britain to face sexual assault charges. And if he does not, I heard this, if he does not willingly go to face the charges, that they can extradite him to Britain to face those charges. A little bit about this is that Kevin Spacey, the actor, said this past Tuesday, last week, that he will voluntarily travel to Britain to face criminal assault charges, allowing the authorities there to formally charge him without having to pursue extradition to Britain. Well, good that he's willing to go there. Now, he's been charged on two situations. Spacey is 62. And it says here, the 62-year-old cannot be formally charged unless he enters England or Wales. So I guess this is where this situation happened. But what are your thoughts about this? What do you think about Kevin Spacey? And you may not follow him, but let's be clear. He was a very good actor. His acting career seems to be now over because he committed this crime some time ago against two individuals. And those individuals are now adults. It says the charges concerns 3 complaints. The allegation incidents date from March 2005, August 2008, and April 2013. During those years, Spacey was an artist director on an old Vic theater in London. All the incidents occurred in London except one from the 2013, which occurred in Gloucestershire, England. Sorry, England. The Metro Police said that the one incident where the men are now adults, 2 of them are in their 40s and one is in his 30s. So they were young men, and they all claimed that Mr. Spacey actually assaulted them when they were young children. You know what? I'm thinking about this. Why do people assault people, right? So bear with me, guys. So I'm thinking, Spacey assaulted these individuals when they were young. Why? Is it that he's just a very evil person and he assaulted them? And this is no excuse, guys. I'm thinking out the box. No excuse for his actions and what he has done to these individuals' life. None at all. I want to think outside the box. And I encourage you to do the same. We often think in the box. So we think in the box, so then we base our judgment on our own thinking. But I think we need to place ourselves in the shoes of others, or try to think, what was your thinking process? And that just could be because I'm a counselor. That's the way my mind operates. What were you thinking during that time? And let me see if I can understand it, or does it make sense, or could it add to the situation to shine a more light on it? Is it that those who have committed such crime that Spacey is allegedly have committed, is it that if people could be transparent and honest about their sexuality, and not be judged, stigmatized, not be able to get roles and jobs, and I'm wondering if Spacey was able to be free, would he still have made the same decision to actually impede his very nasty behavior on some innocent child? I just wonder. I wonder if people who commit these kind of crimes, if they were able to be themselves, would they have committed these crimes still? That's what I'm thinking. And I'm curious to what you guys think. Or is it just an excuse? I am very curious. But I thank goodness he's willing to go there and face the crime. I really would like them to play this on the air live so that we can see behind the scenes what's going on. I want the trial to be aired. I want to hear it. If you can bring it to social media and let us know after all this time that he's committed these crimes, then and you're going to charge him, and because he's an actor and because he has such a platform, then I think we should be able to see all of Kevin Spacey and his transparency as he sits on trial for sexual assault against minors. Will you do it? You should be able to receive it, right? That's what I think. I also want to talk about, can you believe this? I want to talk about, we were talking about a woman's rights and abortions. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I just want to really just share this really quickly before we end today's show. I want to talk about that really quickly because if you don't know, let me tell you now. I'm part of a great conversation with Pastor Sam and friends on their podcast channel. And for the last 3 weeks, we have been having, it will be 3 weeks tomorrow because I'll be again live with them on their show, having a conversation about women's rights and abortion and what the position of the church take. I'm curious. What do you guys think? I would like you to drop a comment because I plan to take that content, which you're sharing on this platform, over in my conversation when I'm live tomorrow on Pastor Sam's and Friends podcast channel on YouTube to have the conversation. I encourage you to check them out. It's a really good platform. I really enjoy my time every time I'm there in the audience with you guys, listening to the show and getting involved in the comments. I wear their comment section out. I really do, because the conversation is so enriching and so informative that you can't help but not get involved. So if you won't find it robbery, join me tomorrow in that conversation. I'll be there talking about abortion as it relates to the Bible and those who are followers of Christ, what stance they should be taking. I want to also thank a big thank you to my pastor, Dr. Bernard Savage, for allowing me to come to him and learn a few other things about this topic, women's rights and abortions, because it's a little bit more deeper than what we think. It's deeper, there's two aspects of it. It's the flesh and it's the spiritual side of it. So it's interesting. And I know people don't want to hear the spiritual side of it because, again, it's your body. You have the right to choose what you want. God give you free will. Even with free will, there comes a penalty for that, right? So it's going to be interesting what that conversation will look like, but I can't wait to have that conversation tomorrow. It's going to be great. As always, we are always having those real conversations. So today we talked about the NRA and its stance on continuing to have their yearly convention and promote these big companies who sell firearms and other armor at their convention for people who feel the need to bear arms. That's their right. Crazy. Also, we talked about Kevin Spacey, and he's facing those sexual charges. What are your thoughts about that? Do you think this is a good thing? What do you think? I think accountability is good. That's my thought. It's good. And I don't care how old you get, your voice should not be muffled. So thank goodness to these men for coming forward and telling their truth. Because there's a lot of people that are looking at Kevin Spacey as a great actor, and probably some of those who believe he can't do any wrong because his acting is so great, and that not be the case. Also, I think we should very much not forget that we all are responsible. I don't care what your position is. We all are responsible for the well-being of ourselves, those around us, and our community. And when we all can't agree, we disagree. But I think if we put more effort to understand and come to some agreement, I think that's where the change is going to start happening. So we are responsible, guys. We're absolutely responsible. So you need to decide what stance you take. I hope that you will give this show a thumbs up. I hope that you would also post some suggestions, your feedback, anything that you think that's important to today's conversation. Get involved and share that with me. I truly will appreciate it. Guys, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Again, we're here every Monday. If you missed the show on Monday, come back any day after that because the show will be uploaded and you'll be able to get involved that way. Don't forget, we are each other's keepers. And we have a responsibility to do good by that. All right, guys, I thank you so much for today's topic suggestion because someone came to me and asked me about this, and I thought it was great to bring. Thank you so much for your suggestions. Thank you so much for the likes. Thank you so much for the dislikes. Thank you so much for the comments. Thank you for subscribing and clicking the notification bell. Thank you to all of you who are holding the show down. I will be seeing you the same time, same bat channel. Be good to one another, as I hope this conversation has been to you. And I will see you on the next show. Until next time, my people, what should I say? I'm going to say bye and thanks again. See you next time.